let's say you recently got an email from a friend, a coworker, or a boss that contains a link similar to this one. So, since it's someone that you trust, you go ahead and click on that link. And you download the file that the server gives you. In this case, it's statement.doc. Maybe this is something for your business, or something like that. Maybe it's even coming from your friend's website. So you go ahead and you download that file and save it on your desktop. Looks innocent enough. It's a Word document. What harm can it do? So you open the file. And it's loading up Microsoft Word. Then you get this page. It says the document is protected, and it gives you instructions on how to view it. Again, seems innocent. Doesn't really seem suspicious to the everyday user. So, you get this warning up here. It's a protected view, and again, the document is telling you that it's protected, and you need to enable editing in order to view it. So you do that. Looks like we're making progress, but we get a security warning. Macros have been disabled. Tells you that you need to enable the content to view the document. So you do that. That's weird. We're having things running in memory that weren't there before. Like that command prompt. Or that random executable file. And I still can't view my document. Now we have more random executable files loading up in memory. Like this one, that just created a service on our computer. Well, what you've just witnessed is a social engineering trick. And it gives you a good idea as to how malware authors are infecting computers now. This is actually not a legitimate Word document. It's actually a malware file. And it downloaded a Trojan from the internet when we enabled the macros. So today I'm going to be discussing why it's important to have anti-malware solutions and how you can avoid these type of social engineering tricks and these macro-enabled viruses. So how can you avoid these types of attacks? How can you avoid a file like this getting on your computer? And how can you avoid being a victim of maybe a social engineering trick or a supply chain attack or something like that? Well, the first thing that I always tell people is you need a good, functioning, well-rounded anti-malware solution on your computer. Because just looking at this file, just by the name and the file type, you really can't tell that this is a malware file. It's obviously a malware file, as I demonstrated earlier, but you really can't tell unless you really dive into the file, which most people don't. So maybe this came from somebody you know, and maybe this is just a Word document that you've been expecting. There it goes, loading up more malware again. And somebody added something to it. And then maybe created a small macro to download, a file like this from the internet. Who knows? Maybe your friend's email got hacked. You just don't know these days. It's really hard to tell. And, the recent CCleaner attack is a great example of this. CCleaner is a totally legitimate, totally useful program. Well, it happened to be that malware authors hacked into CCleaner's servers. And, funny enough, they fell victim to a supply chain attack where the hacker, had a legitimate version of CCleaner and added malicious code to it, which added a backdoor to the person's computer. You wouldn't know it. It was running in the background. So it's really hard to tell if a file is, legitimate or not. So what about Word documents? What about social engineering tricks? How can you avoid those types of things? Well, the first thing you want to do, even if your anti-malware doesn't, catch the file right away, is you want to look at what the file or the document or whatever it is asking you to do. So it's urging you to enable editing and enable content, or enable macros in this case. Well, when a document is urging you to enable macros, it's generally going to be malicious. Because macros are very useful, and they can add a lot of things to Word documents and Excel documents and that sort of stuff. But when it's urging you to enable them, that's a red flag right there. You should never go along with what a document says. Another thing that you can look at are the details of the document. This right here seems a little suspicious. The author is JOCZODSN. Well, who's that? And who did it come from? Doesn't seem like a legitimate file to me. You can also look at the copyright of the file. You can look at the date modified. In this case, I modified it, so or created it on the computer. So you can also look at the version if it's an executable file. Usually they don't change the version numbers. Malware authors just leave it at 1.0, and generally that's a red flag. But your best solution is always going to be an anti-malware program. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load up, funny enough, Avast Free Antivirus on this computer just to demonstrate. It's the antivirus executable I have in my toolbox. And I'm going to show you what happens when we do the same demonstration, but this time with an anti-malware solution on the computer. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so now I have the same type of malware file here, just a different name on the computer. We're going to be doing the same demonstration as we did before. I've already downloaded the file from the malicious website. The difference now is that we have Avast Free Antivirus installed on here. I'm going to show you here that the web shield has been turned off so that I can download the malicious file, and so that we can demonstrate how the file shield is going to stop this malware even if we enable the macros. So Avast is up to date. So again, we're going to do the same thing we did before, enable editing and enable macros. Again, we get the security warning, macros have been disabled. Oops. I hate that when it does that. Hold on a second here. Trying to get it to load up here. There we go. Computer's a little bit slow today. So we have enabled the macros. So let's see what happens here in memory. Okay, we have a command prompt running. Much like before. Okay, there's that PowerShell.exe. Let's see if any malware actually loads into memory. So let me pause this video and I'll be right back. Okay, so as we can see, Avast has detected the threat. PowerShell.exe has been moved to the virus chest. If we look at the details, it's triggered an IDP heuristics alert and from the behavior shield of Avast. The threat was blocked, and it looks like we have no malware loading up in memory like we did before. So this really demonstrates the need for anti-malware products and programs, and why you need one on your computer. Just because you think you can see if a file is malicious or not doesn't mean that you actually can. And it doesn't mean that it's not doing things in the background that you're not seeing. Obviously this one was loading up this executable file in the background. Avast didn't like what it was doing, terminated the file and got rid of it. And our computer is clean because we had an anti-malware program that stopped this malicious file from downloading that Trojan from the internet. Simply because we fell for a simple but effective social engineering trick. So I hope you guys have learned something from this video. Please always keep your anti-malware solution up to date and get a good functioning one to protect your computer, because as this demonstration shows, brain.exe doesn't always work. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.